Welcome to another episode of A Tonic for Lunacy. In today's episode, I'm going to play you a little recording, which is a chat between me and one of my clients turned support coach. So Sharon joined the Human Design Shadow Training after some resistance towards the program. So I really wanted to share with you her story and what she thought of the program and what she loved, and you know, just allow you to see some different perspectives. And it did turn into like a little bit of back and forth, like we had a chat. So I hope you enjoy it. And we are starting another round of the Human Design Shadow Training in May. So I hope you join us. There's going to be a link to the program, and let me know if you have any questions. I will see you in the next episode. I'm here with Sharon, and we are going to talk a little bit about her experience with the Human Design Shadow Training and just the process of human design shadow work as a whole. So, Sharon, thank you so much for coming here. I'd love to know where you were before you started HDST with us.
My biggest problem was with my parents, like we all have probably. My connection with them wasn't too great, and I basically blamed them for that because I was the only one in my family who was completely different than my parents or my sister. I always felt like the black sheep. And I just basically did everything to not be like them.
It's so funny that you say that, because I think like there's people that consciously do everything they can to not be anything like their parents, and then there's people that are like, I have to be just like my parents because I know that that works, and that is great, and that is what I'm going to do. So you went the avenue of, I want to be nothing like them.
Yeah, because in my eyes, what they do doesn't work. And I thought it didn't work for them as well.
Yeah. So you sort of took responsibility for their life as well.
I just wanted to show them, but probably myself most, that I could do it different and be happy.
So that undefined ego was trying to prove something. I'm shocked.
Oh, yes, my entire life. What I thought like a year ago before I started HDST, but when I was already in my HD thing, oh, that undefined ego, I have it covered. I'm deconditioned until I had a shadow reading with you.
Yeah. There's always a little bit deeper that we can go. And I think that's what HDST does really well, is that it shows us some of those blind spots and where we have kind of skirted over some things instead of digging even deeper. So going back to your relationship with your parents, how did this program affect that relationship, and like how? What was it about the program that had an effect on your relationship with your parents?
So at first, I just still blame them because that was my go-to. So when I started my shadow doc, and I just read it back today, oh, it's horrible to see my tone of voice. Like everything I say is blaming them and not taking any responsibility. And then you guys, you and Whitney, you just challenged me and reframe everything and ask the difficult questions. And at first I hate you all for that. Like, why are you asking me that? I don't want to do this. But like it takes time and it takes a lot of questions and a lot of answers. And I don't even know like where the actual change is. I can't pinpoint it. It's just like a progress and suddenly it's there. But eventually you take like accountability. And for me, what actually was like the biggest thing is that I do have a choice. And it was like partly awareness. I wasn't aware of most of the things I did. So you guys made sure I was. And then you have like, or at least I had a time frame where I was, no, you're not right. I'm right. What are you saying?
Mhm.
But with time, it changes everything. And that's why I love the shadow doc. And it's not like face to face coaching, because no, I don't agree. And
It's
in
true.
the shadow doc, you're like, okay, a few days later, there might be something there. And it just changed, and I get a choice. And a few weeks back, I went to visit my parents again after like the entire process. And that was my practical exam, let's say. And I
Mm.
was like freaking nervous. I hated it. I didn't want to go. I put a lot of pressure on myself to make it all right now because I did this program, so I had to be right. And of course, they didn't change. So I think that was like the biggest part, to know that I could change it, that I had the choice, and I just chose differently.
Mm. I love what you said about they didn't change. They didn't change, yet the relationship somehow changed. So we do have the power to change our perspective and to change the way that we think about things. And that has the power to literally change everything, because the way that we perceive things is our reality.
Yeah, and that's so hard to grasp. At the beginning, I did the shadow dog, and I was like, okay, but when is the magic happening? I'm
Right.
answering all these questions, but what now? And then there's the shift, and I just can explain, but it's amazing.
Yeah, I think, with transformation and with shadow work, people are like, well, there's going to be a moment where I'm going to see fireworks and everything is going to be outrageous and life is going to be so different. And I find that it doesn't not work that way. You wake up one day and you're like, oh my God, things shifted. Oh my gosh, I feel a little bit different. And it really does come from awareness. Like, people ask, well, what are the practical steps that I have to take? And I can give you practical steps to make a change in your life, but the awareness around why you don't want it, why you're choosing different, and how you're behaving is often everything you need to see. And what we do with human design shadow is that we dig even deeper. We go to the subconscious level, we go to the generational trauma level. We look at ancestors, we look at parents, we look at all of these different elements, and then we create the story, the timeline, the reason why we can't have change, and then we challenge it. How can I have change? How can things be different? And it doesn't have to be hard. You just have to be willing.
And there is a practical step, because you have to be like fucking honest with yourself.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even when you think you are being honest, there's just a deeper layer.
Right. And that's, some one of the biggest problems that even I have, like a lot of people have, is that there's no one else that's going to be honest with you, right? Like, I can only be as honest with myself as far as I can see, but other people outside of me see things a little bit differently. But if no one in my life is at my level, or if no one in my life is at a higher level, and if no one in my life is willing to be honest with me, then how am I going to change, right? How am I going to see anything different? And I think that's why I so agree with the cliche, or like the quote, that you are like the 5 people you spend most time with, or that the people around you really do affect you, whether you have a defined G center or undefined G center. I just think that's so true, because you can only be challenged as much as those people can challenge you, and that they can only see you as deeply as they've seen themselves. So it's like, you got to do your work, I got to do my work, and then let's come together and challenge each other and grow. And that is what we try to do in the program, is try to challenge you to grow and to heal and to see things differently, and then hopefully help you challenge other people to do the same thing. Healing the world, one round of HDST at a time.
True. But that's the problem, because all coaches promise you that.
Yeah. Yeah,
And I think like most of the people listening now have one or more bad experiences with coaches,
yeah,
because not everyone can deliver. And you know that's where you start to lose trust in people.
for sure.
And there are only so much people who can rebuild that trust.
Yeah. And, most of the people that come to me, that's probably like their very first objection to the program is, but I've done this before, but I've tried coaching before, but I've bought all of these programs. How is this going to be any different? And I get it. Like, I get it. It's hard to date other men when all the men you've ever had have broken your heart, right? Um, but when I tell you we strive to be different, we really do. And that's because I've been there, because I have also spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on shitty programs and shitty coaches. And if you ask me about it, I am always very honest about which ones those are. Um, because let's normalize, right? Being a good coach, if you're in this industry, like, care about the people. And even me with my lots and lots of individual energy, that screams I'm selfish, I truly care about your experience. I don't want to leave you saying that was horrible and I didn't feel supported. Like, we talk about deep shit, we talk about trauma, we talk about sexual trauma, we talk about, parents, we talk about ancestors. Like, this is your life. And I don't take it, like, I think it's a big deal that people trust me with their issues, with their lives. And we do strive to be different. And I hope you had a different experience with us than you did with other coaches.
Otherwise, I wouldn't be on this call probably.
Yeah, so maybe you can give whoever's listening a little bit of like a comparison. Like, what
Ooh.
does, like, I say I'm different, but what actually makes us different?
Okay, so one of the things that immediately popped in my head, which shouldn't be the first thing, is that you can take feedback.
Oh, yes.
Oh yes. I was like in previous coaching things, I have an opinion about things. And if I'm not satisfied with something, I want to tell you so we can work it out. You know, I paid for this. I want you to help me. And this was super minor, but there was like one module in the program which wasn't in the right order. And I was super scared to tell you, like, why would I bother her? Blah, blah, blah. Maybe she doesn't like me anymore. And you were so helpful from like the moment you saw it. And that built trust. So I really like that you can handle, like, you want to make things better for everyone and you do whatever it takes. And I I have previous coaches in group settings and I don't like people that much. And especially when I get the feeling they are holding me back in one way.
Mm.
So I was like hesitant to do another group. And how can I be vulnerable about all my shit within a group? But you made that easy. And, it's like, okay, maybe the first day you're holding back a bit, see how everyone else is doing, and you create the space to be vulnerable. And now those people are like the people I talk most to in my entire life. You go that extra mile. I did my expectations before the program and I was like, I hope she keeps her promises and deliver what she says on the sales page, because all coaches promise you everything and don't deliver. And you do that, you deliver and you over deliver.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. It's yeah.
Yeah. We really do want to make it like a good experience. Like, we don't want you to leave the program saying, well, that wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Right. And I think part of that is my completely defined G center. Um, like, it feels inauthentic. It feels gross to just lie and promise something and then not deliver on it. I can see how that is in several different places in my chart, but it just feels like not me, and it's out of integrity. And something that we talk about also in HDST is how to show up as different, how to show up in integrity, whatever that means for you, right? Like your integrity might not look the same as mine, and that's okay. But how do I show up as myself? And that's probably one of my favorite parts of the not that you asked what my favorite part is, but my favorite part is to see like how far everybody's come. Like, you know, we're just about done the HDST part, and then we're going to move into the mastermind, which is the next 3 months. But I think it's already amazing to see how the people who have participated every single day, how far they've come. So what is your
Every one of them.
relationship? What is your relationship with your parents like now? Coming back full circle.
Yeah, it's definitely better. And there are going to be arguments because we're people and we still don't agree on most things. But I'm accepting it and I'm respecting it that we're different, and it's not a problem as much as it was. And I don't think we're going to be best friends, and that doesn't need to be, but we speak to each other every day now. And it doesn't feel like an obligation to answer them. I feel like I want to answer them.
That's huge.
It is.
It doesn't seem like a lot, but anybody that has parents knows that that's huge. Like when they call and you actually want to answer, what more could you ask for?
Well, no.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, for anyone that's listening, we have another round of the human design shadow training that is starting in May. And then we also have the human design shadow for self healing, which Sharon actually is leading part of it. She has her own support group, her pod of people that she will support, coach specifically. I am obviously in there, and so is Whitney. But HDST is for business based, and that is 6 months long, where we teach you how to do shadow readings. And then HDSS is more for personal shadow healing, no business, unless you want to ask questions about your business. We're happy to help at the end.
And I wouldn't be doing that if I wasn't like 100% certain of this program and what it can do for anyone.
Yeah, thank you. I believe that too. I really do think that this information can help a lot of people if they're open to it.
Yeah. You have to do the work, but you're making it easier.
And fun. We make it fun. We joke around. We don't take ourselves too seriously. We make fun, but we also hold boundaries and standards, and we hold you to a higher standard as well. Not like you personally, but like the people in the group. Like there's, we want to create a certain environment.
High standards, deep conversations?
You're what?
High standards, deep conversations?
Yes. High standards, deep conversations. That is our HDSS motto. For sure. Cool. Well, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. And I hope we'll see everybody in HDSS and HDST.